phones right here.
You guys pumping in some crowd noise out there today?
Yeah, getting ready for it. You know, they got a pretty cool tradition with that red bandana. You know, and we've read that it's sold out. So definitely getting ready for it. And I'm actually kind of just personally excited to see that. It's a really cool tradition that they got there.
So what have you thought about you guys through 3 games?
Yeah, I think like every position probably, you know, each side of the ball, it's okay. We did some things well. We did some things we need to improve on, and we talk about it kind of as a team, the process of every day is a day to improve, and I think there's certain areas we got to attack, and certain areas we got to continue to explore for the tight end room, which is fun.
What are some of what are some things you like so far, and what's some things you're trying to drive?
I think just naturally, like in the run game, you know, sometimes we get overly aggressive with our hat. Like to keep our hat out of it, you know, be good with our hands. Couple things versus coverage, being able to recognize it a little bit faster, knowing when you can go win and all that. But really little things across the board.
Without being totally familiar with your personnel out at Oregon State, was there ever a point where you used 4 tight ends on a drive, let alone the first drive of the game?
Maybe, and yeah, I guess we did do that last game, huh? You know, I think we got 4, 5, 6 guys in there that can help us out, that know it. Including those fullbacks that are rotating in there as well. So, we're going to utilize it. Until a guy shows me he can't handle it, type deal.
Speaking on that, is Tynell still with the tight ends, or is he now
Yeah.
the fullback with that?
Well, the fullback sit in the tight end room. He can do a little bit of both because he's got some of that experience at tight end as well. But he's got a perfect fullback body, so it's been kind of nice having him back in rolling.
Right. Is your room the deepest on this team? Maybe yours and linebacker?
I don't know. I think selfishly, I'd love to say that. I think we got some guys that can really help us do some things, kind of across the board and different. Each guy kind of has a different niche to him, So that's what I'm trying to utilize, So it's a deep room. I think we can do some things to help us win ball games, and that's really what's most important.
Who's the best blocker in your group?
I think we got a couple. I love what Mike does. Mike Masunas. Parachek's got these big old engulfing hands. The only thing is when he wears white gloves, I always get nervous, so he doesn't get a holding call. But but those two are really, really physical strike hands. And then two, like you think who's the best blocker? Like I don't always think online, right? Sometimes it's you saw Jack out in space, Mole out in space at times. Those blocks are so much different than taking on a 270-pound DN. So each guy kind of in their own way has their niche and blocking wide zone, getting off and going. Jack's got a really good feel for that. He's been doing it for 3 years. So it just kind of depends on the situation and the scheme.
There was I think it was the first drive, he had 3 tight ends all over the top of the field and tight end screen, and
Yeah.
just a little something we
I had
haven't
to-
seen. How much of that is still available?
I had to maybe argue for that a little bit more than I wanted to. But to me, that was a little bit of, we saw some on film we could take advantage of. One thing, we'd like to get going more is Jack with some yak, because he's got some of that ability. I did kind of give him a hard time on the one he got chased down from behind. He said he was going to score on it. He let me down on that. But, just something we saw. And again, guys out in space, we trusted to get it done.
Can you talk about the evolution of the technology? Do you see it being something that's going to be as an absolute need or on a need basis? How's that been for you?
You're talking about like sideline,
Correct.
iPad,
Correct.
It's been interesting. It has been I wouldn't say a learning curve for me because I'd seen it before, just my short time in the NFL. I feel like it slows me down a little bit because I'm like watching every play, and where there's some I already have it marked down on my notepad, like, hey, we're good on that. Like I'd like to get going faster on it. It's interesting. It more I think kind of confirms for me. And then I kind of let those guys watch it, like, hey, you want to watch yourself individually, see some things you're picking up from the defense.
Is it good for accountability's sake?
Yeah, I think so. And again, when we talk about accountability, it's not sitting there on the sideline ripping them after it. It's like, hey, this is why he fell off, right? Because you're too far here, you're too far there, or, this is when you got to get your eyes back for the cue type deal. So it's good that way.
How do you feel Aiden's doing in his progression and development in using your guys?
Yeah, no, I think Aiden's always Aiden's nice because he came here with Jack, so he had some chemistry there. He trusts that room. I think it's easy to say the cliche, the safety blanket is that tight end, but I think he utilizes it that way. And at times too, there's points in time where we're number one read to where he feels really comfortable getting it out and getting it going. And when they miss something in a practice, they're going to go do it after practice and get it taken care of. That's how they feel about it.
After starting the season 3-0, you guys are entering this like pretty brutal 5-game stretch of your schedule, just with tougher opponents and stuff. I know you probably don't change the approach, but just what's going to be key to being able to carry the momentum that you guys have started with into?
Well, I go back, and Coach Smith's probably already hit it on. It's just the process, right? Today's Toughness Tuesday. Toughness Tuesday against BC. That's what we got to look forward to. Tomorrow's Workday Wednesday. We don't look past it too much. We understand that it's coming, but tomorrow's Workday Wednesday, and we're ready to roll for that. And again, sticking to our process, coming out, practicing hard, getting the looks right, getting things corrected. If you stick to that and you don't look ahead, I think that's what keeps momentum going.
Kind of going off that, how important is Jack's experience and leadership going to be for some of the guys in the room who haven't been in these big games?
Yeah, I think the sense that he's been there helps. I think in general that room, I try to keep it to a point where we're not walking on eggshells. So I think if we're tight for a game, we're not doing our process. We're not, I think confidence comes in the preparation. Coach Smith hits that a bunch, right? So if you're confident in your preparation, there shouldn't be a sense of tightness for a game. Going into BC, there shouldn't be a sense of tightness if you prepared the same way like you did last week. And so I think he'll be able to kind of exude some of that. I don't want to say looseness or casualness, but like confidence and a little bit of swagger going into it.
Does Tiny give you a little bit more physicality at the fullback?
No, he's big. Yeah, he's not afraid to put his hat in there. He's a guy that likes to go downhill. Even in practice, he's asking, "Hey, can I get this downhill play?" And it's like, "Yeah, absolutely, man. Go knock somebody's head off." But it's good. It's good seeing him rolling. For those first 3 weeks, really seeing him practice for the first time. So.
What do you think about how Belichick's coming along? I know his first offseason with you guys has been kind of unavailable at times, or in and out or whatever. Just so far.
I like Pear. I think the big thing for him is to continue to practice and accrue those reps, because that guy can be dangerous in a lot of ways. Run, pass. He's got to make a little bit better move on that little shallow route right there towards the end instead of just getting tackled by a single guy. But yeah, I think he could be a threat in a lot of different ways. Love the way he goes about it. He's into it. He's going to be up in my office here as soon as I'm done with you guys watching practice already.
What is typically the focus on Toughness Tuesdays you talked about?
First and second down, looking through that. We're going to be full pads. We're going to be rolling. We're going to get some heavy run game stuff in. Just throughout the week, throughout the day, how it goes is a little bit longer practice, a little bit more physical, physically demanding. So that's kind of what we're echoing to these guys. It's the wake up of the week, and we're rolling. We're on to BC, and let's go.
How important is, I don't want to frame it as only the tight end, but just offense-wide, how important is it going to be to get something going on the ground out there?
Yeah, no, I think that's key. I think that's, something we talk about in our offense. We want to make it physical. We want to make them feel us. Not only that, it helps get the run game going. Then it maybe brings those safeties up a little bit. And, you saw what Nick Marsh is able to do with that in that receiving room. That run game is crucial, and I think it's crucial in this game. You even look at BC, their thought process on their offense, right? So, who can get the run game going and who can be effective that way and kind of controlling the down and distance throughout the game.
When you get a guy like Hopper who's been around forever, is the improvement possibility as great as it is with someone like Belichick, especially when he has new coaching? Yeah,
I think that's definitely something. You even think about first year to second year player versus fourth year to fifth year guy, and Hop's obviously going into his sixth. I think there's always improvement, and I think it's different. I remember Coach Smith saying this to me years ago. When I first got into it with him, coaching wise, like my year 1 to year 2 improvement under him is going to be different than a guy like Jim Mahalchek, who's been in this business for 30 years, right? Like his year 30 to 31 was going to be different from my year 1 to 2. And I think that's true, but I think there's always some way to improve. You know, there's always that 10%, 20% better you can get throughout the year. So yeah, I think you might see some greater things, you know, greater improvements early, but little details maybe with Hop.
You have to unteach some habits that they've acquired over those years.
No, you know, they had a good feel for football IQ. They had a good feel for it. You know, I thought Coach Gill did a really good job with them and what he wanted to do. You know, Coach Ruff, and so I don't think I had to unteach a ton of bad habits. I think you always got to be aware of bad habits. You know, from any guy, I don't care if it's Valiant. Like I know his bad habits because I've been around him, right? I've obviously started to develop and see what these guys' bad habits may be. So you're always on those.
Looking back over the first three, what has allowed for the success on third down, and what has been some of the issues, maybe the biggest issues in the red zone? I know those are two
Penalties in the red zone, you know, we got to eliminate those. You know, we joked around. We called it sins on offense. I called it self-sabotage in the tight end room. It's like, guys, it's like you guys are allergic to the end zone. Like we're right here. Like why are we doing something silly like an offsides, false start? You know. We just got to be smarter down there, and then the other piece, you know, third downs, you know, we're making it hard again because of penalties, maybe because of miscues, to where it should be pretty simple, you know, trying to control those sticks and keeping them where we want to be.
Because they're not, you know, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, so you guys are
No, and that's the thing. It's pretty interesting. Some of the conversions we're having, it's a little bit longer, which good gives us confidence in that stuff. But how we like to make it a little bit easier, you know, a little bit closer. I shouldn't say easier, right, but a little bit closer, for sure.
Big picture 3 games, and what have you learned about this team?
I've learned they're resilient, tough. Okay, they're not afraid to be physical. You know, small things we got to clean up. You know, the biggest one on offense is penalties, right? But they're resilient. They're ready to roll. They're, you know, no challenge is too big, too small for them.
Has anything surprised you?
Not really. You see it every day, so not really. Penalties? If I said that, penalties? Yeah, I don't like all those.
So Hopper's waited a long time to make some contributions.
I think it's been cool for him. You know, I think it's been one of those things. He grinded, man. He had an awesome summer. Ran into a small hiccup, grinded through that. You know, came back and had an opportunity to put him out there and use him in something that I thought fit him pretty good, and he's taken advantage of it. You know, how each week it'll be with him, I'm not sure, but I'm just happy for the kid, proud of the kid for fighting back through that. I mean, I think it was, his tweet was 367 days or something since he played in the game when he got in against Maryland, so that was cool.
So when you guys are going over that touchdown, the 60-yard touchdown, in your room or as a team, I imagine you get some pats on the back for that from his teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, probably the first pats were, you know, I think Coach Smith pointed it out in the Maryland game, so he definitely got some pats there. And when you go through it as an offense, you know, and I think that whole play actually was pretty cool because obviously what we did up front, handling the front seven, and then if you watch Torrey on that play, you know, working his butt off down the field to really spring a 60-yard touchdown.
And Boston College number 6, the defensive end, and pass rush threat this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. 6 is a heck of a player, man. And I think he has been for a long time. This is my first time, you know, getting eyes on him this week. Heck of a player, really high motor, really slippery. He'll be a fun challenge for us, you know. God, maybe we haven't seen quite like that this year, but he's fun to watch. He does a really good job.
How big is matching their physicality? But also, how do you draw that out of your guys, your own physicality?
Yeah. I don't think it's like coaching effort, right? I don't think you have to coach effort. It's just understood. And physicality, it's football. You put on a helmet for a reason, right? So I don't think you got to draw it out too much, or you're not around the right guys. And I think we're around the right guys. But yeah, physicality is the name of the game. They want to make it physical. We want to make it physical, which is a fun opportunity. Awesome chance to go out there and do it against a really, really good ACC opponent. So.
Thursday, Friday themed as well. Just wondering.
Yeah, toughness Tuesday, workday Wednesday, perfect posture Thursday, finish everything Friday, game day Saturday. Nailed it. Been around Coach Smith for a long time.
Perfect posture.
It used to be, I think, I don't know if he wants to be told. It used to be perfect practice, but then he didn't like the idea of like, hey, if there's a mess up, just rewrite it. It doesn't have to be perfection, you know, but the attention to detail, how we go about it, the technique we use, all that, that needs to look clean.
All right,